Friday the 13th of December and day 12 here at the NPL. Let's go for a walk and sum up the day. It was a really important day in terms of the playoff picture, but for the Lumbini Lions, the only side knocked out of the competition thus far, they really just had pride to play for, and they also had almost every other team in the competition cheering them on because they were desperate that the Lions would pick up their second win and maybe deny the Karnali Yaks the chance of securing their top 4 spot. They're not quite there yet, but they did end up taking what was rather a remarkable victory. For the majority of the first innings, you would have thought that the Lumbini Lions had the game on toast. Tilak Raj Bandari finally got his chance. Thought he bowled really well, 2 for 23. He was exceptional. There was also a good performance from the youngster who came in and bowled right at the death. He picked up 3 in the final over, and the total of 123 was only really thanks to one man. That was Will Bosisto. His parents were there, just up on that balcony. They flew in from Perth specially. It was lovely to meet them, and I thought they were so proud of their youngster, and they were even more proud because in the second innings he bowled nicely, picked up 1 for 23. But the star of the show for me was a player who's come back up from Australia. Obviously he's completely Nepalese. He's right on probably the fringes of the national side if he comes back here to Nepal. Nandan Yadav, he's playing his club cricket down in Australia. I think he's in Adelaide playing grade cricket. Twice now he's held his nerve at the death. I think it was 9 off the final over that he needed to defend. Zishan Maqsood was good with the ball earlier in the day, but as soon as Rohit Powdell fell, you felt that maybe it was going to be the Lumbini Lions coming up short yet again. Tom Moores, though, so many times in this tournament he's got going. Both him and also Sundeep Jura gave it away. Sundeep Jura looked for a slog sweep out to the deep and he wasn't able to clear the man to the larger boundary. And then Tom Moores, rather than just knocking it around, finding the signals, he looked for the ramp shot, looked for the 4 in the modern way. The modern way is to finish it early. But when he fell, all of a sudden they were in trouble. And the Lions yet again suffered heartbreak. Rohit Powdell, he's going to end the group stages certainly as the tournament's leading run scorer, 280 altogether for him to go alongside 8 wickets. He's had the most wonderful tournament. He'll be in the player of the tournament reckoning, no doubt about that. But the Lions came up short by 5 and Karnali Yaks have made it 4 on the bounce, and they're certainly not quite into the playoffs yet, but maybe not just thinking of a top 4 finish, they might be thinking of a top 2 finish. What about this afternoon's game? It was a cracker. We've had a few low scoring days and finally they got things going. We might have to go this way, otherwise we're going to get in trouble, and these guys at the covers are going to run over us. They're going to try and cover that frost, and we'll come across this way. It was the Biratnagar Kings this afternoon. They were taking on, in what was really for the Kings an absolute must-win game, they were taking on the Chitwan Rhinos. Kushal Mala's side have had plenty of good stuff in this competition, but if they lost to the Kings, all of a sudden they're going to be dragged into a battle for that 4th qualification spot. I thought the way in which the Kings played was exceptional. Remember how bad a start they got off to. Watch back the dismissal of Lokesh Bam, because I'm going to imitate it here. He's batting. In comes Rijan Dakal. He gives himself room. He shoulders arms. It's hit middle stump. Bam's not going to want to see that again, but don't worry, Lokesh. Some of the best players in the world have done that. Glenn Maxwell in particular. He did it before in a Big Bash game, and surely his teammates, they deserve a little bit of praise for bailing him out of trouble, because it was an exceptional partnership. Firstly, the way in which Martin Guptill played, despite a calf and a hamstring injury, to guts it out. He teamed up with Bashir Ahmad, who did have a life when he was on 9, but Ahmad then teamed up with Rajesh Palami Magar, who's come in for a little bit of undeserving heat on social media. How did he answer those critics? He was quite sensational. The two of them combined, they scored 74 off the final 5 overs. Me and Darren Goff up here in the commentary box, we were losing our minds up there. It was unbelievable stuff. 6s were floating all the way around the ground. They even took Sohail Tanvir to the cleaners and Rijan Dakal at the death. And their total of 181, one of the highest of the tournament, was always going to be too much for Chitwan. The big question though was, could they get that big net run rate boost alongside it? They got a healthy one, but maybe they would have liked a bit more. 51 runs was the margin of victory in the end. It's narrowed the gap. There was over 2.4 between them. Now it's about 1.1. But remember, the Rhinos have to play Janakpur tomorrow. If the Bolts beat the Rhinos, all of a sudden the Kings stay alive, and they'll know what they need to do in their very final match where they play the Kathmandu Gurkhas. Everything is still open. 7 teams are still in the picture in terms of qualification. Only one of them is guaranteed. That is the Janakpur Bolts. They're already into the top 4. The only side eliminated, their competition is over. They've played all 7, is the Lumbini Lions. A little bit of a shout out to Sandeep Lamachani. Thought he bowled nicely today with more runs on the board. He picked up 2 for, and of course, who was the player of the match? It had to be Bashir Ahmad. What a gritty and talented young cricketer he is. Remember, yesterday he bowled the final ball of that second innings, which was hit for 6, that sent it to a super over. What character from a young man to bounce back from that and show his grit, show his determination to put in a match-winning performance with bat and ball today. He's been one of the finds of the tournament for me. I think he could find his way back into senior team reckoning for Nepal, particularly in the ODI format. Now tomorrow, Super Saturday. It's sold out. It's going to be another packed house here at the TU. I've got to get home. I've got to get some rest because the sun is gone, and I think if you come round with me, I think the moon is already up. I'm not sure if you can see it, but I need some rest because today was awesome. Loved every second of it. Big shout out to Darren Goff as well. So much fun, that final 5 overs there on commentary as the Kings showed us how to do it. Hopefully that pitch tomorrow will be just like today. It was a really good one, and we'll be in for a Super Saturday. I'll see you then live on Star Sports.